toy cars, computers, trash cans, yogurt cups, pylons, water bottles, remote controls, flower pots, helmets. Each of these everyday items have one thing in common. They're all made of plastic. More and more often, we find objects commonly used to be made out of plastic. Once these objects are no longer useful, what do? We throw them away. But where do these items go after we put them in the trash? Most of us would venture to say that they sit in a landfill for 500 years until they decompose. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Much of our plastic ends up in the oceans, polluting and destroying our waters. I am concerned and questioning a civilian that has a passion for our waters. Based on my extensive research, I have gathered information on the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, otherwise known as Garbage Island. Today, I will inform you on the formation of Garbage Island, its discovery, its effect on marine life, its effect on humans, and the future of Garbage Island. Before we look at how Garbage Island was formed, let us take a look into the history of plastic. Leo Hendrik Baekeland, a Belgian-born American scientist, is credited for the invention of plastic in 1907. His first synthetic polymer was made from phenyl and formaldehyde. From there, plastic was commercialized and popularized after World War I. The formation of Garbage Island is credited to the North Pacific Subtropical Gyre. This gyre is the largest of 5 major oceanic gyres. Its circulating clockwise patterns are caused by 4 main ocean currents. Trash from all over the world collects here because it is carried by these oceanic currents and then funneled into the center of the gyre. According to a 2011 EPA report, an estimated 80% of garbage comes from land-based resources and only 20% from ships. Due to the improper disposal of plastics, the formation of Garbage Island is rapid and destructive. According to Brenda Pulley in her article for Keeping America Beautiful, in 2009, 2.12 million tons of plastic were recycled in the US. However, that was only 7.1% of all plastics generated in 2009. Now that we have understood how Garbage Island formed, let us take a look at how the massive floating landfill was discovered. In 1988, a paper published by the NOAA of the United States predicted the formation of Garbage Island. Alaska-based researchers conducted this investigation between 1985 and 1988. In their paper, they measured high concentrations of debris caught in oceanic currents. They also predicted the accumulation of these debris in the North Pacific Gyre. However, it wasn't until 1997 when Captain Charles Moore was traveling back from a sailing competition in Australia when he took a detour through the North Pacific Gyre, when a massive floating landfill was discovered. In his book, Plastic Ocean, he discusses how he and his travel companions find themselves slowly transversing what he describes as a plastic soup, a sweeping mid-oceanic currents, oceanic tracks speckled with scraps of plastic. Now, Captain Charles Moore is the main spokesperson for raising awareness of garbage in our oceans. The reason why this issue is not front-page news is because of the invisibility of the island. It is not solid plastic that is necessarily the problem, it is the microplastics, or nurdles. Evis Myers says that the island is comparable to the size of Texas. However, Charles Moore disagrees. The microplastics float individually, and it is impossible to measure the exact severity of the problem. In a sample trolled from the ocean, a typical ratio of plastic to plankton is 600 to 1. According to Charles Moore, however, this ratio is always increasing. Understanding the severity of our ocean's pollution is one thing, but how does it affect our marine life? While the plastics are breaking down into smaller pieces, the water surrounding is slowly becoming infected with pesticides and PCBs that make up the plastics. Researchers in Washington at the International Research Workshop on the Occurrence, Effects, and Fate of Microplastics Marine Debris, held in 2008, concluded that the microplastics are detrimental to marine life. They agreed on 2 main points. First, when plastics break down, they release toxins that pollute water surrounding. And not only is the plastic itself toxic, but even after it decomposes, the plastic's mark on the ocean remains. Furthermore, the marine animals have been known to consume the plastics. Species such as shrimp eat the microplastics, mistaking them for zooplankton, which in turn poisons them. Jennifer Ackerman, a journalist for Scientific American, says that although plastic does not get digested by microbes as food and paper are, they do slowly photodegrade. UV light and heat from the sun increases its brittleness, causing it to weaken, crack, and break up into smaller and smaller fragments. This is why fish mistake bits of plastic for smaller fish. Moreover, many marine biologists blame the increased number of plastic bags in the ocean as a major factor contributing to the endangerment of sea turtles. Turtles mistake the plastic bags for floating jellyfish in the water, and when the bags are consumed, turtles choke. Now that we have understood the direct impact trash has on marine life, let us discover what impact our own trash has on us. The definition of bioaccumulation is the accumulation of substances such as pesticides and other organic chemicals in an organism. Bioaccumulation occurs when an organism absorbs a toxic substance at a rate greater than which the substance is lost. This essentially means that when an animal ingests plastic, the toxins are passed on to the next animal in the food chain. Since humans are at the top of the food chain, we ingest the greatest amount of toxins. The food that is meant to nourish us is ultimately poisoning us and causing a swift death. Additionally, Ross Pomeroy mentions in his article, Follow-Up, Bioaccumulation in Ocean, that researchers took 141 fish across 27 different species and found that plastic was present in the stomach's contents of 9.2% of the fish dissected. The authors believe that this number may be low. There is a great chance that many of the fish we eat on a regular basis will soon be deemed unsafe for human consumption if numbers like this continue to be recorded. Moreover, ingesting toxins found in plastic can lead to cancer, birth defects, immune system problems, and childhood developmental issues. Direct toxicity from plastics come from lead, cadmium, and mercury. Other types of toxic plastics are BPA. BPA is used in many things, including plastic bottles and food packaging materials. Over time, the polymer chains of BPA break down and can enter the human body in many ways, from drinking contaminated water to eating fish that is exposed to the breakdown toxins. Specifically, BPA is a known chemical that interferes with human hormonal function. Plastics such as PET, HDPE, LDPE, and PP are okay for you. According to care2.com, these plastics are not known to leach toxins, but the reality is that they may not directly harm you, but once they are decomposed and released into the ocean or consumed by an animal, that is when they become harmful to us. When you break apart plastic, the polymers all affect you in the same way, no matter how safe they claim to be. Now that we have understood the effect of plastic on humans, we will now discuss the future of Garbage Island. The bottom line is, there is no way to directly clean up our oceans. According to Captain Charles Moore, cleaning up the garbage patch would bankrupt any country that tried it. A large eco company, Envion, is already testing the process of converting waste to oil, which the company says has been a successful demonstration of the technology. It's a process that drastically changes the dynamics of plastic waste, says the CEO. When you put in a landfill, it's gone, and it affects us all. But when you convert it into oil, you can sell it or store it somewhere safer. However, each rig costs about $7 million, plus annual maintenance. Unfortunately, the only thing we can do to help the cause is raise awareness. One person cannot change the problem a humanity as a whole has created. Jackie Stavis, campaign director of Oceana, says, "The way to start fixing the problem is to stop making it worse. It is not a matter of cleaning up our oceans, it is a matter of changing our way of life." In conclusion, the formation and the severity of Garbage Island is no fluke. It is entirely humanity's fault for letting this issue get to the degree it has. I have shared with you the massive floating island of trash, how the massive floating island of trash formed, was discovered, its effect on both animals and humans, and the future of Garbage Island. In the words of Captain Charles Moore, it's a plastic fantastic world.